Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.
Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Daria. We have with us Mr. Prem Kishan Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director at Gateway District Parks, joining in. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gupta, and always a pleasure to speak to you and have you on the show.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gupta, let's start overall with how we've maneuvered with regards to where COVID goes from March last year to May this year. How has the scenario been with regards to the impact?
Well, you see, the last year when the country went into the lockdown, the first half of the year was not so good by way of volumes. But then we had other opportunities because our sector, whether it is CFS or rail or cold chain logistics, comes under essential services. So we were operating throughout the lockdown period, even though the volumes were less. But we could provide warehousing, we could fill up our warehouses, we could fill up our yard with the cargo. So in some way or the other, the revenue was compensated. Uh, and then in the second half of the year, the volume started coming back. Things looked to be normal, and it was business as usual, until the present lockdown. So just to let you know that in the last quarter of 2021, we did exceptionally well, both with the volumes as well as the profitability of the company. Now, starting this lockdown, so far we have not seen any dip in the volumes. In fact, April was again a big month for us. And going forward in May and June, the visibility is there, and there might be some dips, but so far there's no indication of that. Because this year, the lockdown is not as harsh as it was last year. So some of the industries or at some places are running,
Hmm.
though with decreased production or output. But
Right.
we see both import cargo coming in as well as exports going out of India.
Right. So with all of this, another aspect, if you talk about the company, is that you've used this opportunity to strengthen your balance sheet as well. And the debt has been reduced by almost around 237 crores in the last quarter to 443 crores. Now, is this number which we are, probably okay with, or do you think there will be further debt reduction that we will be looking at in the current financial year?
Well, there will be a further reduction in the debt because we have long-term term loans. So every month those installments get due. So we are servicing those debts. And if we are able to generate more cash through the operations, we will definitely prepay some of those loans. In any case, 55 crores of NCDs are due next year in April. So we will be comfortable paying those, and we will try and see if we can prepay earlier. So we will continue to reduce the debt. The only time we will take debt is for the new projects, which we have in our plans.
Right. We'll talk about the expansion, but with this, another process that you initiated was the corporate restructuring during the year. You've got majority of the approvals from SEBI and the stock exchanges. NCLT proceedings have started. By when do you expect this to be completed, and what are the kind of synergies that we are looking at?
Well, we were hoping that this merger process will be over by September, but it looks like it will be delayed because the NCLT hearings have been postponed. And we had one hearing, and for the next one, when we were ready, the merger or the scheme of merger proceedings have been delayed, and there's a new bench being formed. So our next date is somewhere in July, so 22nd of July. So maybe if not in September, by November we will be able to do the merger. And this merger would mean a lot to us because one is we can rationalize whatever assets that we have. It will be we will
Hmm.
have a large pool of assets with different locations, and we can offer customer services all over India, both from the rail side and from the CFS side. We'll have 11 locations of that pan India. So one is that we will be able to offer services. Second is that the combined cash flows of both the companies will help us in having better cash flows, and we will be able to repay the loan
Hmm.
much earlier than we want.
Right. And with this, if you have to look at business with regards to the CFS side of it, as well as the railway linked ICDs, what's the outlook looking like from here on? Because again, the revenue streams are completely different in both. Where do you see more traction coming in this current financial year?
See, the CFS business, because of the DPD volumes, had already hit low, but now we can see that it has stabilized and it will continue to be like this in the future. Our main focus is on the rail business, because the rail business is an opportunity. The DFC construction is going on at a fast pace. Some of the sections are already in use, and we had invested long time back in our ICDs,
Hmm.
where I mean we are on the DFC route, so our
Hmm.
Badi Harsaru and uh, Asauti in Faridabad, plus the one in Gujarat, Virangam. All the three locations are on double stack routes. We are
Hmm.
already operating double stack trains from Gadi Harsaru right now to Mundra and Pipavav. So that will get converted into electrical route within this calendar year, barring some delays on account of the in this COVID
Hmm.
related labor availability. So that will be a turning point in our company, which we had been waiting for, because the turnaround time in that case will be less than 24 hours,
Hmm.
which today is roughly about 40-45 hours. So that will be a great game changer, both for Pipavav Port and Mundra Port. And since I said our ICDs are on DFC, so with the full running of DFC, we stand to gain immensely. And as I said, we have three ICDs on the double stack.
Hmm.
Nhava Sheva might take some time because there are some land acquisition issues by railways between Vadodara and Mumbai. So once that is done, it will come later, at least 1 year behind Mundra and Pipavav.
Right. So with all of this, if we talk about the EBITDA per TEU as well, that has been spectacular in the third quarter. Yes, volumes have been good in the last 2 quarters, and that's something which has led to this kind of improvement. So can we take this as a new normal right now, or do you think we will again come down to a slightly lower average?
See, in the short term, it might be slightly lower than the last quarter. But in the long run, once the volumes are there on the DFC, because not only that we are maintaining our market share in these locations, we are also gaining traction from other ICDs, because we have the whole ecosystem in place.
Hmm.
We started much earlier than other private container train operators. So we are able to attract customers from other ICDs, and our market share has gained in the last 1 year, I would say. And we continue to see that, because the shift will be there from road to rail
Hmm.
in a big way. Already it is happening, but going forward, once the turnaround time is less, which I said is going to be less
Hmm.
than 24 hours, then we see a major shift of the volumes from road,
Right.
and
And
then
what
we'll
would
be able
the
to maintain.
yeah, go on,
Sorry,
sorry.
please. So that will help us in maintaining our margins, or even
Hmm.
increasing our margins.
Right. And in terms of business from here on, what is the kind of growth opportunity and expansion plan that we are looking at?
As I said, again, our growth will be in the rail business. We are planning terminals in the next 5 years,
Hmm.
and which will have a capex of around 500 crores. But this will be gradually, in the first 2 years, it might be three terminals that we have, and then expanded to another two in the following years. And then we will see the requirement as the volumes grow and the road shift is there. Depending on the volumes, we will look and the demand in other locations where there are no ICDs. Then
Hmm.
it can be more than five terminals.
Okay. And with this, another aspect that does come in is right now, what is the kind of capacity utilization that we are seeing in each of the businesses?
See, CFS capacity utilization is about 65%,
Hmm.
uh, taking into account all the locations, all the port locations. ICD, we have created big capacity, and so far, say our annual volumes are last year it was 250,000 TEUs by rail. The previous year it was 285,000 TEUs. So we have created the facilities to handle 400,000 TEUs at any given point of time.
Hmm.
Plus the land bank that we have and the turnaround time that we are expecting, we can go up to 1.2 million TEUs in our existing facilities, which is almost like five times the present capacity, because the land is not fully utilized.
Hmm.
But as and when the volumes grow, we keep on increasing the capacity. And with very low capex, because the entire ecosystem is there, we have our yards. The only thing is the warehouses and yards have to be expanded. And with the very little capex, we can go to up to, as I said, 1.2 million
Hmm.
TEUs per year.
Right. And with the commissioning of the Revri Palanpur stretch, how big a benefit it will be for the company?
See, right now the only operational stretch is Rewari to Madar Junction,
Hmm.
and the other section from Madar to Palanpur has been completed. It is being tested, so it will be available soon. And then the rest of the routes, to Mundra to Pipavav, will
Hmm.
take another 6 months from now. So this will be a game changer, as I said. Right now, only 300 kilometers of the stretch is available for DFC double stack and electrical haulage. 350 kilometers of Madar Palanpur junction will be ready soon. So at least half of the distance to these ports will be covered on the DFC route.
Hmm.
And as and when these routes will be fully converted, up to the ports, then that is the time when we will get the maximum benefit of the turnaround time.
Hmm. Hmm. And overall, if you go to see with regards to where, when we talk about expansion, the kind of capex that we are planning to do as well, any inorganic growth opportunities that we are seeing?
Yeah, right now there are a couple of assets for sale which we are actively looking. So it
Hmm.
all depends when it will happen. So, but it will come in overall our five terminals that we want to have in our plans if, in the next 5 years. But if we can get one or two terminals, which we can acquire, that will definitely hasten the process of our expansion.
Right. And, right now, with regards to where the land licensing fees is concerned of the Indian Railways and Concord, they have increased it in the month of October 2020. What do you think should be done on this front? Because clearly now updates are needed and everyone's looking at, as to what will be the development. Will the new policy bring down the land lease rates, for the use of railway land for industrial purposes? What's your call?
See, as far as private container train operators are there, they own the land. So
Hmm.
whatever land we have, we own it, and the only portion of the railways land licensing fee which where we have to pay is the connectivity from our siding to the
Hmm.
main railway network. So for a company like ours, we pay only 5 crores a year, and if it is revised to 3% from 6% to 3%, which we hear, it will have an impact on us. I mean, we stand to gain a small amount. But you mentioned about Concor. Concor, many of their terminals are on the railway land,
Hmm.
on which the land licensing fee is quite high. In fact, Indian Railways has made a demand of 1,350 crores per annum. But the company, I mean, the Concor has only paid half the amount, or 600 crores odd. So this proposal has been forwarded by railways to the cabinet committee, but so far there's nothing that we have heard that committee has approved or not. So once it is approved, I mean, it will come down to say something around 600 crores or whatever, around
Hmm.
that figure for Concor. But still, it is a very high number, and especially for ICD Tughlakabad, they have already started charging 5,000 rupees per TU as additional land licensing fee charge, which, as private operator like us, it does not matter to us because we own the land.
Hmm.
And 5,000 per TU, 5,000 rupees per TU is a very big hike that they have made. So we are already gaining traction from there to our terminals in the NCR region.
Hmm.
So this unless railways come through, I mean, the cabinet committee passes this resolution or whatever, whether 6%, 3% will not have much bearing on us.
Right. And do you expect a shift with regards to volumes that could happen from JNPT to a Pipavav and a Adani port?
See, JNPT also has their plans in a way that the fourth terminal is there, which will make it the biggest container terminal when fully expanded, So it will be handling about 9 to 10 million TUs. And then the shipping lines might shift back to Nhava Sheva, because in the marine line, the port of Nhava Sheva is preferred by the shipping lines.
Hmm.
But until recently, there was no additional capacity. All the terminals were full. So Mundra has, in the past few years, have developed because there was no other choice to unload at Nhava Sheva because the terminals being full. I think once the DFC from Nhava Sheva is completed to the hinterland, then that is the time when the volumes, shipping line volumes, will shift to Nhava Sheva. So it will be equally distributed between Nhava. Right now, the equation is more in favor of Mundra and Pipavav ports,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it will certainly shift the dynamics towards Nhava Sheva port, maybe 2 years down the line or something like that.
Right. And Mr. Gupta, with regards to the Eastern and Western DFC, uh, in terms of financials, what's the kind of benefit or how big a game changer will it be for our company as well if you have to look at the next 3 years?
Well, so far the indications that we have been given is that it will be very price friendly for the end user, and not only the turnaround time will be less, but right now the payload is 67 tons per wagon, which is going to increase to 81 tons per wagon. So that will take off the burden from the road, because there are restrictions of load on the road. So the heavy cargo will also shift, and Indian Railways and the DFC, they are both inclined to even do a special pricing for lighter, containers, as well as empty containers. So overall, these road volumes will make a big difference coming to the rail. And as I mentioned, that we have uh, three ICDs which are ideally located for in the business area where the industry is, and it is very convenient to use these containers. The Delhi being very congested, people are shifting to people are already shifting to our terminals,
Hmm.
and we stand gain a lot going forward.
Right. And with regards to, when you talk about the cold chain storage and logistics side of it, last mile delivery, how is that business looking like?
Cold chain business, you see, we do a lot of cold chain business in CFS and ICDs also.
Correct.
So, but apart from that, we have our investment in Snowman Logistics, where we have created a pan-India presence in 15
Mm,
cities, which is going to go up to 17 cities in this year itself, in this calendar year. And we are further planning to increase the capacity as well as locations so that we have a pan-India print, footprint in the whole country.
mm,
Slowly and gradually, people are recognizing the value of cold chain. Say even
mm,
now in the lockdown, when say some products which are not being sold, for instance, ice creams. So ice creams need to be kept in a proper temperature, and even a slight error will make it, useless.
mm,
So we have been we have done it last year in the lockdown, and we are doing it right now also. And this year there will be addition of when the vaccines start coming in bulk quantities from different manufacturers. So already we are handling vaccines in a small way through road transportation, but we are in contact with all the major vaccine makers who are going to be there in India to store with us, because those require lower temperatures, like -18 to -20 for long-term storage, and they have to be transported in the same temperature and delivered in the same temperature at the final location. So we have already demonstrated that we can do it. And as I said, other products also, pharma, apart from vaccines, is a big portfolio with us. I mean, our total capacity, out of our total capacity, we have about 12% of pharma products that we have, and these are long-term products.
mm,
And our customers need services in other cities. Then that is why we have already assured businesses from these companies in the new cities.
mm,
And we are the only one to be present on such a large scale. We are the largest in cold chain, and we will continue to expand our base. So the cold chain business is coming out of age. I would say that earlier the quality or the parameters for storing or transportation were overlooked, but now people who are using cold chain, they need service, and the pricing is getting better in that in
mm.
that.
Right. So, with regards to the last mile delivery as well, Snowman Logistics is involved in distribution of vaccines, etc. How big a business is that, and how are you facilitating the same?
See, this vaccine business is going to be quite big for when because the volumes that everyone is talking about is going to be huge.
Hmm,
So these have to be manufactured, these have to be imported, these have to be stored, and then these have to be transported in different cities, and then to the nodal points from where it will be distributed to the hospitals and clinics. So up to the nodal point, from our warehouse to the nodal point, we have demonstrated already that we can do it.
hmm,
And we have tied up with some other vendors, like for instance, we have tied up with SpiceJet also, to if there is any airlift lifting of vaccines, or if so it will still require both way road transportation, and it will also require storage, because not all the vaccines which when imported in bulk or produced in bulk can be distributed simultaneously.
hmm.
So there has to be storage points, and Snowman is well prepared to handle this business, and we expect a big revenue out of it. Not necessarily a big profitability, but we are into it already, and we are ready to serve.
Right. So overall, with taking all of these aspects into consideration, now, yes, FY21 has been slightly lower than FY20 as a year, if you have to talk about the profitability as well as in terms of sales. However, we've improved on the operational front. Margins have improved considerably. How are you looking at FY22 and 23? And when are you expecting normalcy to come back into business?
See, our expectation is that our volumes will grow in double digit.
Hmm.
And normalcy, I mean, it all depends on many things. One is when are the lockdowns getting over? When are the people getting vaccinated so that, I mean, things become normal? I think it will take anywhere between 3 to 6 months for total normalcy where people can move around and the consumption is there, and the pandemic, whatever serious
Hmm.
effect it had recently with herd community, it could go away.
Right. And any numbers that you could give us with regards to growth?
Numbers I will not be able to give you, but as I said, our growth will be in double digit for sure.
Right. All right, Mr. Gupta. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well. Stay safe and speak to you soon again.
Thank you, Hiral, and all the best. And I would also request people to safe by staying indoors, have mask, and maintain social distancing. So all the best to you, your team,
Absolutely.
and the viewers.
Thank you so much.